building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guy podcast, apparently. Just me. It's the J... I don't have a double D's. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Each and every, what is today? Thursday, we come in to talk about pro wrestling. Are you here to talk wrestling with us? I sure hope you are. It'd be a shame if you came all the way down not to talk a little pro wrestling with your boy, Jay. Anyways, how's everyone doing today? What's up, everybody? Mike and Nono and Mo. What's up, everybody? Again, I'm Jay Callan, and we're just getting going here. Thanks for hanging out and Hidden Harley and Nono. I'm good. We're just going to talk some wrestling here. Talk a little bit of the NWA. We're going to talk some, a little bit of everything. But I usually will be joined by my co-host, DKM and Jaden. DKM's on assignment today, so he won't be with us today. But, yeah, we're just here. We're live. We're live in the chat, and I hope everyone's having a good Thursday. My Thursday has been pretty busy. I got to actually have a sit-down interview with Brutal Bob Evans, probably most famously known from his time with Ring of Honor, but he's actually currently working the independents. And Bob's whole thing right now is he's going out around working not just with promotions, but wrestlers as well, doing seminars and intenses, I think is what he called it. Post-show critiques, giving wrestlers feedback, helping them become better talents. And I feel like, there's an old expression made famous by JFK, which was called rising tides raise all boats. And I mean, explicitly what that means is it's helping somebody else in wrestling does not take away your shine. Working together and promoting events together and doing things positively does not make your wrestling promotion any less than or wrestlers any less than. And I feel like it's great. We need to see more opportunities, more people coming together and doing things like this to try to improve the industry. Pro wrestling is the pro wrestling has for years has always kind of been a very independent sport. A lot of talents. I think it's different now, but back in the day, information was gate kept and not everyone was allowed access into pro wrestling. Things are different now. And wrestling happens all over the place. People get into wrestling from different walks of life. And what Brutal Bob is kind of saying is like you get out there, but you work together, you help. And I think it's a unifying message. And we've had a lot of great wrestlers over the years come on the podcast, but none of them as committed to, really giving back to the community. So I'm happy that Bob is doing his thing. He was just out here in Southern California. I missed him. I got my dates mixed up, and he was out in a wrestling promotion in my backyard, Valley Wrestling Connection. They just did a show, and I didn't know he was going to be here. Otherwise, I probably would have made that a priority to go hang out and watch. But I'm happy that WVC took advantage of that, and I guess on March 6th he will be joined by joined with the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Dog out in Glassboro, New Jersey, part of Rowan University's WrestleMania. So that'll be fun. We see Alex Misery in the chat. Alex, I have a question to ask you, man. if you're here, Alex, if you're still listening, what is going on with you and Daisy Kill? And the only reason why I ask, man, is because I've never shared a blow pop with anybody, a popsicle or anything. And I noticed, Alex, that you took a bite of his popsicle, and it was a little off-putting to me. Not because of anything else, but like hygienic-wise. Like, I don't know how clean Daisy Kill's mouth is. Just food for thought. Noob, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you guys, like I said earlier, the Bob Evans interview is up on YouTube right now. It'll be up on Spotify and what's the other apps? iTunes, Amazon, iHeart Radio, wherever you listen to your podcast at, it'll be up there later as well. I hope you guys will listen, check it out. Nick Hernandez says, just like AJ Styles now, a WWE Hall of Famer didn't have to wait long like others. I'll say this, man. AJ Styles is a unique individual, and I think when it's all said and done, he's probably going to go down as one of the greatest wrestlers of our era. Think about it. There are a lot of guys who've held world titles, lots of them. But how many could say they've done it for 3 distinct companies? You remember when TNA was an independent, when they weren't doing anything with the WWE? AJ Styles won the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship. And that title itself was, that title is very much a part of TNA wrestling, but at the same time, it was also a title that has this very historic background. We're talking about the NWA, which is my bread and butter, right? I love the National Wrestling Alliance. And before AJ Styles was NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, before Jeff Jarrett held that title, we can go back years and years. You could look to Dan the Beast Severin. You could look at Shinya Hashimoto, Steve Corino, Chris Candido. I think it was yesterday. It was like the 26th anniversary of, maybe it's even longer than that now, of Dan the Beast Severin winning the title from Chris Candido. But even going back further than that, you look at champions like Barry Windham, the Great Muta, Masahiro Chono, and even further, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Kerry Von Erich, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Jerry Briscoe, and all the way to Orville Brown, who was declared champion back in 1948. I mean, I think that talking about that title, the NWA World title, and AJ Styles winning it was a very cool moment. But then he'd go on to win the TNA World title, a belt that was also held by like Nick Aldis and Sting and Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle. And then you talk about his work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and being able to take that title, going to New Japan, without a background, not a big star from the WWE or a big star from WCW, but a guy who, made his name in TNA wrestling to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and then compete at a high level. Of course, with the backing of Ring of Honor, sure, but he made it his own. And after Fergal Devitt, Finn Balor went to the WWE, AJ Styles was the leader of the Bullet Club. And then coming to the WWE, and then a 10-year run in the WWE that included, U.S. title and tag team titles, and of course the undisputed world title. I think of course he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Of course he does. What's up, Juggalo? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. Well, sure, that Zumi, of course, the Bullet Club initially was a huge faction, a great, incredible faction. And like any other faction, the original was always the best, right? Like, look at the Horsemen, look at the NWO, look at the Bullet Club. The original faction's usually the best. And then when it sticks around a little bit too long, it's not as good. Nick Hernandez says, Ron Simmons was the first black wrestler in WCW to win the world title. Is that true or not? Yes, Ron Simmons was the first African-American pro wrestler to win the WCW World Championship. he is not the first African American to hold a wrestling world title. That would go to Bobo Brazil, who held the WWA World Championship. Lenzo thinks I'm Kevin Owens. Lenzo, I know you're just joking. I know you're just joking. You have to be just joking. Wiccan, I hope you're doing well, buddy. It's been a day. We're hoping that Jaden will join us soon, but maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be me tonight. It'll be a very fast live stream. He should be worried about the roadkill hate. Oh, okay. That's fair, Alex. That's fair. I mean, I was concerned that maybe there might be this new newfound respect and admiration between Daisy Kill and Alexander Miserable. Maybe you'd be joining. Maybe he'd be joining the Lost. I don't know. I'm glad that's just a case of sharing a bite. And no, I'll pass on that bite. What WWE 2K26 you purchased? I haven't purchased the WWE 2K. As a, I think I would buy the game, but lately, man, I've been too busy. I don't have time for video games right now. The greatest wrestling game of all time, and you all know this. You all know this. This isn't even up for debate. The greatest wrestling game of all time is Virtual Pro Wrestler 2 that was on the Nintendo 64 from Japan. You had to import it, and then you had to bust the pegs out of your Nintendo 64 so that you could play the game. That, my friends, was peak pro wrestling performance. You could play as a UFC fighter. You could play as Hayabusa. I bet you Alex Misery would have played as Hayabusa. I'm almost positive he would have played as Hayabusa. You could do tag team maneuvers, which were fantastic. That by far, my friends, was the greatest wrestling video game of all time. And it's not even open for debate. I won't hear your comments. I will block, ban, and delete those comments when they come in, because there is no better game than Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. And it featured talents from like New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, All Japan. I even think they had, I don't think it was Dragon Gate, but I think it was what Dragon Gate became. And then there was a bunch of freelance wrestlers in there, and there were WWE-esque talents. I mean, it was such a great game. Such a great game. Yeah, see, I knew it, Misery. I knew it. There is another Hayabusa out there, and I heard he's going to be in California, not California, in Las Vegas for WrestleMania weekend. Someone needs to book the new Hayabusa versus Alex Misery. That match, my friends, would feed families. I think that would be an incredible matchup. And I'm not just saying that because you're in the chat, Alex Misery. It's not me kissing up, because honestly, I'm scared to death of you. But that has nothing to do with the positive praise I'm leveling upon you. It is for the fact that Hayabusa, I think the original Hayabusa, obviously, but the second Hayabusa, who's currently wrestling, does have the similar style, and I think that him and Misery could have a great match. Wicked, I would never ban you. Of course, it's the other people I would ban. Hayabusa the second. Is that what they're calling him? I don't know much about him. I not to brag or name drop, but I was talking to Ninja Mac last Saturday. I guess it was Saturday. After the event at the Crash. I had a great time at the Crash. I guess I could talk about that. But he was talking about Hayabusa. Hayabusa number 2 is coming to Las Vegas, and people are actually trying to talk him into that match. And that would be a fun match, but Ninja Mac has great high-flying capabilities. He does so much interesting stuff in the ring. And I've seen it translate to both, hardcore wrestling fans at GCW and the Lucha Libre fans at the Crash. But, something about Hayabusa was a little bit different. It wasn't just about the high-flying offense. It was the high-risk offense. It was the ability to use your body as a weapon, very much the way that Alex Misery does. Wicked said the best wrestling game was the Pro Wrestling NES with King Slender and Starman. Okay, that's top 5. That's top 5, Wicked. It's top 5. What's going on, Snoopy? I hope you're doing good. Opinion on Steve Corino. I am Blake is asking me my opinion on Steve Corino. That's why we don't have. Okay, we can fix that. Whoops. Let's see here. Hold on just a second. I screwed up. I didn't send my co-host a link. Let's see. Where is the thing? Okay. I'm sure we'll have a co-host very, very soon. I feel like King Slender, Starman, the Great Hayabusa, a different Hayabusa, by the way. Very underrated game. The Giant Panther. Oh, man, what was that? The Amazon, I think. The Amazon versus Alex Misery. Now, that's a match I think would be fun to watch. What's up, dog?
I think you want me to come on because I was scrolling, couldn't find the link. I apologize. I usually don't get done school till about 8:15, and then I was scrolling for a few minutes trying to find the link to get here. Apparently, we didn't have one.
No, that's all me. That's all me, dog. That's all me. I honestly forgot that I didn't shoot it out because DK was like, I'm not going to be able to make it this weekend. You know, honestly, the link should be the same link for every time we do the show, but you don't know that, and I never explained that to you. But you know, going forward, I'll make sure to share that information.
I assumed otherwise because the other company, the other website we had, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So this one is presuming.
No, all is well, man. I've just been talking about wrestling video games and Hayabusa and I think. Okay, first of all, Jaden, I would like to hear your hot take. What was the greatest wrestling video game in your mind? What was the greatest wrestling video game you ever played?
The Pro Wrestling on the NES. Starman, the Amazon, King Slender.
All right.
King Karn.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about King Karn.
King Karn. That was hard to say.
Easy for us to say. Wiccan actually agreed with you on that one. That was Wiccan's pick.
How's his brother? What's his brother's name? Wiccan. No, Speedy was not him. How's his mother, the Scarlet Witch, doing? I can't think of his brother.
I'm sure she's fine. Okay, so that was my first question. In my opinion, and I'll give you my top 2 favorite wrestling video games of all time. My number 1, Virtual Pro Wrestling number 2 for the Nintendo 64. You had to import it from Japan, but in order to get it to work, you had to bust out the pegs in your 64 to play the Japanese video game. Did you ever get to play Virtual Pro Wrestling 2?
Yes, but as an emulator.
Okay. Still fun game.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you could, like, this was I guess in the early 2000s, maybe like 99. I'm not exactly sure when I used to play it, but you could use like UFC fighters, like they had an imitation Dan Severn and I think even a Tank Abbott or something similar to Tank Abbott on there. Then you had your independent guys from Japan, but then you had Pro Wrestling Noah and New Japan Pro Wrestling and All Japan Pro Wrestling. And I even think they had WCW guys on there too, if I'm not mistaken. It was a fun game.
Yeah, that reminds me of one of my top 3. Like, obviously, the original Pro Wrestling was, A Winner Is You.
Yes.
That was my favorite. I also love WCW versus the World.
Yes. Also good, but
yes,
I think that's a few steps down.
Yeah. And I loved Matt Mania, I think it was called. It was for the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo? But it was a wrestling game where in between matches you had to pick a specific training session to improve something, which was your strength, your endurance.
I remember that.
And I used to think it was cool. And then they have these like little zoom ins with this action sequence. It was very anime like, where you would do the whole like the giant swing or something like that, and it would show it to you in a close up.
I think that was from the Super Nintendo, and I think that's where Mike Hagar came from, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you are correct. Yes.
And I did remember that game, and that was a fun game too. A little bit lower on my list, my number 2 video game, and I probably spent hundreds of dollars in the arcade playing it. But the WWF WrestleFest. It was the first time that in my memory you had not only a Royal Rumble feature, but you could play as tag teams or singles wrestlers, and it was like a 4-player thing. So you could literally have 4 people playing at once, or you'd go on the story tournament and you pick a tag team to face the Legion of Doom for the WWF tag team titles. That game was such a fun game to play. My brother used to use Mr. Perfect. I would use the Ultimate Warrior. We were the Perfect Warriors, and we'd always crush the tag team division.
If we're going to go arcade, I'm going to go even earlier. There was a video game that came out in the 1980s that had a Road Warrior ripoff and a Hulk Hogan ripoff.
They
And
made that for like the Genesis too, I think. I know which one you're talking about. I played that as well.
you could play up to 4 players, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember that one. And I remember the only thing I could do all kinds of moves while they were standing, but the only thing I could seem to do while they were down on the ground was jumping, knee drop, jumping, knee drop, jumping, knee drop, jumping, knee drop. That was the commentator talking about as I was hitting that move. Because for some reason, that was the only thing I knew how to hit while they were on the ground, but I could hit like all the other things while they were standing. But I don't know if that was just what it was limited to why you were, or the wrestler that I ended up using, maybe. That's what it is limited. But yeah. I love that game too. If I could find that, that'll be one of those games I'd like to own one day in an actual cabinet.
One of my best buddies recently sent me a Sam's Club is now selling the WrestleFest arcade with the 4 players option. I'm like, I don't have $600 right now, but I wish it did.
Yeah, there's a place around here where you can go to a birthday party, and then you basically can go, and I think the last count, there was 1,800 various video games and pinball machines, old school arcadic machines.
Yeah.
And there was the one time I went to somebody's little kid's birthday party, all of us adults loved it way better than the kids, by the way.
For sure.
There was about 18 various video games that we were playing that were all wrestling related. And I still think it's hilarious though, in Street Fighter, Zangief is based off of an actual wrestler, Victor Zangief, and they look nothing alike.
For those of you who are going out to Las Vegas for WrestleMania weekend, there is the pinball arcade museum where you could actually play pinball games and arcade games from yesteryear. I think it's like I don't think you have to pay to get in. You just buy your coins to play. Make that part of your weekend, because I don't think you would regret it. I had a great time there. My kids, I loved it more than my kids. That's for sure. For 100% sure on that one. And I wanted to point out Alex Misery, and I know he's younger than both you and I, but he says Warzone for PS1 and Shut Your Mouth for PS2. I did enjoy the Shut Your Mouth on PS2. I will say that, but nothing to me tops the Ukes game system for wrestling. I just the Virtual Pro Wrestling 2.
Wrestling fans, Rowan University, allow
I did it again. I didn't mean to.
I am Max Muno, the Dog Pro Wrestling Ambassador and ring announcer, and I've got an
I
announcement.
can't turn it off.
This
I can't either.
It wouldn't turn off. All right, well, there you go.
I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to find something, and apparently that's the last thing I had loaded in there. And once I went to go open it up, that's what started playing.
It's all right. It was my fault for pulling it up, and I thought maybe what I thought is you dropped out because I was having a lot of issues earlier today with Brutal Bob. His call kept dropping, but he'd be on the screen and then he'd come back in. So I thought that was going on there. But and for the folks who are being so kind on TikTok, Mia Funny Thoughts and Soto, thanks for the gifts, guys. Appreciate you. wow, Mia has been hanging out with us on this app for like 3 months now. So props to you, Mia. Thanks for thanks for joining the conversation. And Soto, for WrestleMania weekend, I don't know, man. I'm not going. I can't afford those prices. I can't afford prices for WrestleMania. You know how expensive WrestleMania is? Forget it. Jaden, are you still there? Uh-oh. We lost the Jaden. Anyways, before I get to that, I want to throw out something else. Earlier on TikTok, and I apologize. I forgot who the name was on there. Oh, wait, we got to go to this first. Alex Misery says, I do remember my father owning WCW NWO Revenge on Nintendo 64, and I believe there was another WCW game for PS1. I don't remember. Those, the WCW NWO Revenge, and next time you're at Bit Crush, ask Billy Trask to show you Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Hell, make him give it to you, Alex Misery, because this is, again, fundamentally the best wrestling game of all time. But it was on the same engine as the WCW versus the World, or WCW versus the NWO. It was basically the same kind of setup there. So
am I able to be heard?
I can hear you now. For a minute there,
okay.
You disappeared. Or you didn't disappear, you just were silent. I couldn't hear you.
I was talking, but it wasn't letting me say anything. So I unmuted and muted, even though it wasn't muted. Or I guess I muted and unmuted, and then it fixed itself. Yay, technology.
Yay.
I'm going to send you something in the actual other chat because I can't get it to upload on here.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you something.
Someone on the other chat asked me my thoughts on Steve Corino, and by other chat, I mean on TikTok. And for those of you who don't know, Steve Corino, former NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, actually 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, recently made his return to pro wrestling. And I'm going to ask Jaden in just a minute what he thinks about this, but he came back to wrestle for PWF, which I believe is the promotion owned by his son, Colby Corino. I think it was originally his promotion, if I'm not mistaken. And he came back and won the title. And he said specifically, this isn't a one-off. The people I work for are great, and said that I can come here and wrestle anytime I want to. And my question to you first and foremost, Jaden, is what do you think about Steve Corino coming back to pro wrestling?
Well, he's never been out of pro wrestling. He just wasn't actively wrestling.
That's fair.
I believe he was working in the WWE developmental, the NXT and the developmental and the training center, right?
He still is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Well, theoretically, because he has to be physical to train.
Yep.
He probably doesn't have the same insurance requirements that the office employees have. So theoretically, he could wrestle, and the only thing stopping him is, I guess, permission. And I guess he got permission.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. He looks very grizzled, but I watched him as a fan before, I think before I became a wrestler, I saw Steve Corino wrestle. And I'm in the business since I was 19 years old. I started training when I was 18, and I was unofficially in the business way earlier than that, selling programs and doing whatever else I needed to do to be around the wrestling business. But I remember seeing him as a fan at an NWA event for Dennis Carluzzo, I believe, before he was even in ECW. And so I guess he has all rights to be grizzled.
Yeah, for sure. And the interesting thing about it is, he's 52 years old. Now that sounds old to you and to I, because, we think of the wrestlers of today and AJ Styles just retired and he's not even 50 yet. But Steve Corino at 52, I mean, he's not even the oldest wrestler that I could think of to hold a championship. I mean, Hogan was in his 50s winning titles in WCW, was he not?
Mil Mascaras held the IWA championship late into his 70s. I can't remember how old Tenru was when he last held a championship, but he was at the time the oldest wrestler in Japan to hold a championship in a major championship. And that was the Triple Crown. I don't know. I'm sure Dory Funk is still defending the Bang Funkin' Conservatory Championship somewhere. But yeah, he's definitely not the oldest. Hell, DK's got 174 belts, and he's older than dirt.
But he hasn't wrestled anyone for those belts, and that's what I guess. Look, congratulations to Steve Corino. I think it's awesome. The first thing I thought when I saw him holding up that title was, I wonder how he'd do against Thrillbilly. Now, of course, that's not really an option. The PWF thing, I think it's because it's a family-owned business. I think Colby is the at least part owner of PWF, so I think that's why he even has the opportunity to compete there. And I think the WWE is hesitant to allow him to wrestle on a full-time basis, but I think, once a month at PWF, I don't think they're having any kind of issue with that. So, congrats to the former NWA two-time World Heavyweight Champion. I think he was also the NWA Lightweight Champion for a short time. And his, he's had
an NWA North American Champion and a couple of other regional championships. I think he was NWA Florida Champion.
That's right. You're bringing up stuff I completely forgot about. At one point,
real quick though, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to get this out. All Colby has to probably do is give Billy a call and say, "Hey, can I put Thrillbilly against my father?" I'm sure that could happen in a PWF event. Doesn't have to happen in the NWA.
That is, and I'm looking here, and this kind of ties to our other friend, Alex Misery, who may or may not still be in the chat.
Eyeball.
Alex Misery wrestled against or teamed with. Excuse me. Let me take a step back. Alex Misery has teamed with Alexander Lev. We call him Lev now, but he used to go by Alexander Lev. And Alexander Lev teamed with Mr. Wrestling 3 at the PWF 10th Annual Premier Tag League on December 28th, 2025. And according to Cage Match, that masked wrestler is none other than Winnipeg's own Steve Corino. So that's kind of a weird,
Kevin Bacon situation.
Exactly. Misery's got his eye on it now. Your tag team partner has tag team with your enemy's tag team dad or something like that. Oh my God.
Is Colby and Alex Misery enemies?
Not anymore.
I think he could be begotten. He's not ill.
No, I think so. So Misery and Colby are kind of like were, and we hope Colby comes back healthy and ready to go and wrestle the style that he wants to wrestle. But obviously Misery has a very high risk style of wrestling, and the only person on the roster who was even close to wrestling in the same style was Colby. But now, that Colby had suffered that injury, who knows if he's going to be able to return and wrestle like those style of matches, which makes what Misery does even more unique and special when he's on that roster. But
I saw a tag team on Power that I'm sure we'll get to hopefully soon. That I think that would be singles wrestlers would be really good matches against Alex Misery, or a tag match with Alex Misery and whatever partner he chooses, as long as it's not Gags the Gimp under that mask.
It's fair. I get it. And we're going to get to Power in just a moment or two. I know that we also will be talking about the big event that's coming up for the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, not just on March 6th at WrestleMania, but I know we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on at Egg Harbor. I believe that's in April.
May.
It's in May. It's going to be May. You're right.
Yes, that's what Justin told me.
That Justin says a lot. The other thing I want to point out too is that
whenever he leaves, though, he doesn't just say bye once. He goes bye, bye, bye.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe he's too busy bringing Sexy back.
maybe there was an incident where he said bye and somebody didn't hear him and they held that against him.
No, I think the only thing they hold him against him is when he mispronounced me.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Saturday, March 21st, Thrillbilly Silas Mason is kind of going back to where it all started for the gentleman. You know, we know of Thrillbilly as the, you know, grassroots campaign for the NWA. It seemed like he was a homegrown guy, but what people don't remember or understand about Thrillbilly is he actually had a cup of coffee in the Pacific Northwest. He actually was a regular competitor in some of the wrestling promotions in the Pacific Northwest. Notably, as I searched now, because I forgot I was going to look this up during the podcast, he competed for, I believe it was, oh man, what was it? Holy crap, I can't think.
Having had trouble today.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? It's when I do multiple podcasts in one day, I kind of get spent. He competed for first of all, he competed in California back in 2016 with our friends from over at IHWE. Yeah, that's a promotion that's associated with our pal DKM. But before DKM got involved with that promotion, they had a partner promotion here in California. And so as Cassius Coons, which I'm just going to call him Silas Mason, he was wrestling out there with that company, but also has competed for WCWC, which is the West Coast Wrestling Company, and also, what was it? NWA BCW, which Blue Collar Wrestling, which was also out in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Portland, Oregon. He also had matches for DOA, and that's what it is. I mean, he did a lot of his early wrestling in the Pacific Northwest before he got to Smoky Mountain back in 2016. So, you know, for Silas Mason, this is kind of like a homecoming. On March 21st, he'll be bringing the 10 pounds of gold with him to DOA Wrestling. Again, that's a place that he had competed earlier in his career. And then the year before, Tom Latimer had taken the 10 pounds of gold out to Portland as well. So it's kind of cool to see that the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship is making its way to territories that don't necessarily feature the NWA World Championship. I always think that's a cool thing. I always think it also speaks volumes to the wrestlers who hold that title, because, you know, most of the time we don't see that title in these promotions. What is it about Tom Latimer or now Silas Mason that it garners the attraction from a wrestling promotion to book the 10 pounds of gold? What do you think about that, Jaden?
I like it. I mean, he's going out there. He's the grassroots NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He started from getting a match and turning that one match and a odd pairing with a manager into an absolute skyrocketing in the NWA. And I like the fact that he's going around to places that he's familiar with, but may not get the NWA gold on a regular basis, and also maybe places that aren't so familiar with him too, and trying to get that out there so people can see him as a traveling NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Right now, Billy, I've always said this. I said this with Latimer. I said this with EC3. I probably with other ones. Right now, you get what you get from the NWA, and that's about it. Anything else you get from that, you take on your own. You do yourself. One perfect example of that was Rekin Baldigurski. He took what he got from the NWA, and he's made a career for himself in the Northeast, where some people might even argue he's more successful in the Northeast since his NWA time than he is in the NWA. And he's taken that full advantage of that ball, and he's run it to multiple touchdowns and everything else he can do. Scoring that goal, hitting that 3-pointer, he does it all. And same thing now with Thrillbilly Silas Mason. He's out there and he's taking what he has, this opportunity. That 10 pounds of gold puts a spotlight on you.
For sure.
Even when the dark days of the NWA, some of the only bright spots were the 10 pounds of gold and some of the champions that held it. And he now has that ability to use that spotlight to get everybody to know his name. You might not know who he is now, but after you see him, you'll know who he is.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited for our pal Alliance Late Night. I mean, he's out in Portland, and he was fortunate enough to see Tom last year, so I'm excited for him to see Silas Mason up close and personal. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the next big announcement from the Camp Silas Mason is that we're going to hear about the Thrillbilly tour coming to Southern California. I think there's lots of places I think he would fit in perfectly. You know, even if he doesn't fit in, I'd like to see what he could bring to the table. And who knows, maybe we'll get him out in California at some point. There's lots of places for him to the Silas Mason Nation, I believe, is what Poyle Damar has called them. I can't wait to see it. And then Chris Shoemaker over on TikTok just said something pretty interesting. He says, speaking of NWA Ghost to challenge Thrillbilly, whatever happened to Mike Knox? Well, right now, Mike Knox is on the IL. He is injured. I don't foresee him in an in-ring role for quite some time. I actually spoke to him, and he, at the NWA 77 anniversary show, although he did finish the match, he was injured with like in the first few minutes of the tag team title defense against the Immortals. The Immortals ended up winning those belts that night, but you know, the parting gift that they gave Mike Knox was a lingering injury that I think is going to keep him out of action for a little bit longer. I think he would make a great opponent for Silas Mason because there's very few men that step into that ring in the NWA bigger and stronger than Silas Mason, but I think Mike Knox might be one of those guys. What do you think, Jaden?
That's a lot of beef. And I think after they're done, both those guys would be medium rare.
And it would be very tender, I'm sure. All right. That's enough stalling. I think we could talk about NWA POWERRR. This episode was called The Devil You Know, and this is season 26, which still makes me shake my head because it hasn't been on for 26 years. I get it, 26 seasons, but like, you know, their season lasts like 6 episodes and then it's a new season or something similar to that. I just think it's silly.
Traditionally, seasons don't have to be a year.
Understood.
Some shows do have multiple seasons in a particular year. I remember one time a 90210 did something unusual by having themselves come out in the summer when no other program was first run. And then they came back in the fall for their 3rd season or 4th season, whatever it was at the time. And it definitely put them on the map. So it doesn't have to be. You could have multiple seasons in a year, but we are also thinking in athletic seasons often. So you only have one hockey season. You only have one baseball season. You only have one football season. Unlike wrestling, which never really truly has a season.
It never has an off season, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The show kicks off with this great package of a video package, I should say, of the highlights from last week's main event, the build, everything leading up to Thrillbilly, Silas Mason, and Tom Latimer wrestling for the 10 pounds of gold, including Thrillbilly defeating Matt Cardona and kind of freaking out because he was trying to make Matt tap, or he did make Matt tap. Now I don't remember exactly for sure. But the program, the video package was so well done and so highly produced. And I feel like that would have been a perfect clip to have presented not only in the traditional 16:9 format, but also the 9:16 format, so that they could have posted on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, on X, everywhere. I feel like that clip should have been seen everywhere on social media because not only did it do an impeccable job of explaining the rivalry now between Silas Mason and Tom Latimer, why Tom has heat with Silas, how Silas was able to beat Matt Cardona. I mean, it was, and just, you know, like a minute or two, it was able to kind of catch everybody up on what's been going on with the world title picture for the NWA. And it was so well done that I'm shocked and maybe even disappointed that the NWA social media team hasn't put that video clip out. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see the opening package?
Yeah, I watched off and on the NWA this week. Unfortunately, I was multiple tasking.
Sure.
And so I was doing things while it was on, but I did stop and watch that because sometimes I click on what I think is the episode and then it plays for a while before I realize I already watched it.
Yeah.
So I was making sure that I was on the right episode. So that's why I watched it. And I liked it. It was very good. And again, you're right. It should be on social. One of the things NWA drops a ball on is, I guess maybe because I don't follow the NWA, it shows up on my TikTok all the time. But the NWA does not have a true, I think, marketing department. And that's something that I think immediately should have been formatted to be on every single thing that they have the NWA name on. Hell, they can get on MySpace. They should do that.
I mean, and you know, the thing too, we talk about social media. By the way, now Alex Misery is watching via TikTok, which is great. I mean, I love having you, but why has you got to be everywhere, Alex? What's going on, man?
He's also watching for that hidden camera behind you on the who is that? Kojima?
Yeah, probably.
Behind you?
Yeah, that's an autograph Kojima, by the way.
But yeah, he's watching you all over. So yes.
I think you're right. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. I saw the eyes move.
Wait, say that
Just
again?
one eye, though. I saw the eye move. Just one of them, though.
That's the one that's got the camera behind it.
The third eye.
You've been listening to Tool lately, haven't you?
Yes, actually, I do. It's you'd be surprised when you're trying to do your work and trying to get something done, how much Perfect Circle and Tool can help make the day go faster. Actually, you wouldn't be surprised because you and I both like the same, but
yeah, for sure. It happens all the time for me because it's by choice.
Definitely makes the day go faster, though.
Over on TikTok, our friend Snug Wrestling says, "Why are KO t-shirts popping up? Why are KO t-shirt ads popping up on this live?" And I'm telling you, man, I am outraged. I'm outraged, and nobody should go and click on that link and buy themselves a Kevin Owens t-shirt. Absolutely not. The shirt, I'm sure, is very soft and comfortable to wear. It is a little bit weird because the graphic on it is strange, but I don't suggest anyone buy a Kevin Owens t-shirt, let alone buy it from my shop. And of course, don't wear it to wrestling events because people will accuse you of being Kevin Owens. And I don't recommend anybody trying to pass themselves off as Kevin Owens. I think that's a fool's game.
Yeah, if you would get so mad if you happen to see somebody come up to you and say, "I bought this shirt using your link." That would just drive you nuts. You might leave.
I'd pull the hair out of my beard, man. I would dye my hair like a darker color so I don't look so much like Kevin Owens. That's what I would do.
Did I used to tell you how I used to sell 8x10s?
All right. I'm listening.
I had a plant in the audience, and they would have an 8x10, and they would rip it in front of me. And next thing you know, all the kids would go to the 8x10s, my merch table, and buy them. So because I would get so angry at that, they would go and buy them and rip them in front of me.
That's amazing. I mean, it's okay. So talking to Bob Evans today and thinking about the business of professional wrestling, that's brilliant. Man, that kind of hurts the ego a little bit, though.
Hell no. They could love me, they could hate me, as long as I got an ass every 18 inches. Unless they're buying my merch, that's all that matters. They could burn it and do whatever. I mean, I was throwing darts at the autograph picture I have of Dave Dahl.
I put my Dave Dahl autograph behind Hayabusa because I didn't like the fact that my Hayabusa action figure. I didn't like the idea that Dave Dahl was looking at me grabbing his wrist like that, so I covered him up. Friend of the show, Noobs, just jumped on to said the feud between Tom and Silas has been going on ever since the 77th last year. And to be honest, Silas Mason should feud with someone else.
Yes.
What do you think about that, Jane?
Yes, he should. He should have a couple of feuds. The one thing I loved about Jim Crockett Promotions, and this is even when not counting Flair's multiple feuds with different people in different promotions, but in Jim Crockett Promotions, he always had a feud going on with Ronnie Garvin. He always had a feud going on with Dusty Rhodes. He always had a feud going on with Wahoo McDaniels. He always had a feud going on with both Road Warriors. He always had a feud going on with Ricky Morton. He even had like some feuds lower on there, like with Raging Bull Manny Fernandez or Magnum TA or everybody. He had feuds. Nikita Koloff as a heel and a face. He had feuds going. So anytime you can go to an NWA show or event, Jim Crockett Promotions NWA event, you never knew. You never know like who he was wrestling, but no matter what, you always knew you were going to get a good world title match. Barry Windham, another one.
For sure. And I think I agree with you, and I feel like he's back over here. I feel like the NWA has a wealth of talent. You know, I get it. Like I get what they're trying to do. I can't make the eye go away. Okay, there we go. I get what they're trying to do. You know, the building up the feud between Tom and Silas, I think, is good because Tom has longevity for the brand. He's one of the few faces that have been there since day one of the whole power era of Billy's NWA. And, you know, having him as world champion, he is one of these guys that kicked, he fought, he clawed his way to the top. And to get there, he had I think nearly a year and a half run as world's heavyweight champion. And I don't think he's done, by the way, at all. I don't think he's by any stretch of the imagination done with competing for the 10 pounds of gold. I'm sure there will be a time where that title's around his waist again. But to what Jaden, what you were saying, I agree. Like, let's see someone else get an opportunity. Now, I know that Trevor Murdoch recently looks like he's going to be feuding with a different talent now. But, you know, Trevor Murdoch is a 2-time former NWA World Champion. And I think you and I both could agree to this, that him and Silas Mason could tear the house down by the big meaty men slapping meat. You know, and then you've got Carson Drake, who's in the wings, and he even said on this week's episode of Power, he too is looking for that world's heavyweight championship. And then, you know, by proxy, there's plenty of guys on that roster. Mike Mondo, the national champion, at some point he should be looked at as a potential challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. And as Noob said in the chat, like, look, Brian Idol's won his 7 matches. Like, he's guaranteed a world title shot at some point in the next year. So I do believe that they will start using more opponents for Silas Mason. And I still think in the back of at least my mind and possibly in the NWA's creative that Tom Latimer will emerge at some point to reclaim that title at some point in the next year, I believe.
Well, here's what I was hoping. When they first had that power right after Thrillbilly acknowledged that he won the title, and they found, you know, it's months after he won it, but they put it on Power first. I thought they were going to do something great where they had Trevor Murdoch come down and they had Latimer come down and others come down, all claiming they wanted a shot at the world title. They should have done that immediately, I think, with Latimer and Murdoch and maybe the Pope and maybe anybody can be considered a serious challenger. They could have had Hammerstone. They could have had EC3 at the time. Anybody who could have been considered a real serious challenger to Thrillbilly, they all should have been coming out and doing challenging. They should have videos out there after he won the title of all these guys, you know, while he's new champion, and they try to take the championship away from him before he gets used to holding that belt, because it's a lot easier to win it than it is to hold it. And I think they should have done that, because then they could have constantly had a bunch of people being built up as potential challengers. And then you could have also had like a 4 corners elimination match to get a shot at the next television taping, or, you know, not the signature live event, but like the TV taping main eventers too. They could have done that to build up challengers. So he constantly could have had the championship focus on him and had reason to cut promos and reason to be out there and a reason to, everybody wants that championship to help get him and that championship over. But they didn't do that. They kind of looked like they were going to, and they kind of did, but they didn't.
And there's still time for that too, by the way. I mean, we are in the month of February. There's still February is just about done, but there's still, 10 more months to 2026. And, where Crockett Cup is coming up very quickly in April. We know that they have TV tapings filming after the Crockett Cup in April back in Tampa. And then at some point, there will be an anniversary show in 2026. And theoretically, we could still have another Saul win, which I believe they will. And they might even fit a hard time somewhere in all of that as well. So I don't think that opportunity is unreachable now. I still think that everyone on that roster should be making a challenge to Silas Mason, and the more vulnerable he looks, the more the opponent should come out to challenge. Again, Mondo, Carson, Trevor, Idol. I think they should all kind of come out, and I also think that they should bring people in too. There's no problem bringing in. At this point, I think Hammerstone is a little cliche. It seems like he's getting work in a lot of these independent promotions, but having Hammerstone or somebody similar to Hammerstone, Richard Holiday, I feel like that would be a very good idea to have these different looks and almost feel like the walls are caving in on the world's heavyweight champion, kind of even feeding into his own, paranoia. He's on the run. He's got the title, but he's a marked man. I think that would play in very well with the story that they're trying to use with Silas Mason for sure.
And he should be a marked man. And there's a lot of people inside and outside the NWA. Again, this is where forethought of a person who thinks in the futurist mentality, while at that NWA event where Silas won the championship, anybody who was there who could have been a potential challenger, they, instead of cutting these stupid skits, they should have been having promos cut that they could splice in throughout the year and put them on social media and put it on the Power episodes and put it on everything, so they have a reason to make a championship out there. People are talking about Thrillbilly. You create the interest, like everybody wants it, and it's a big deal that he's a champion. Everybody wants him. It'll create interest. And again, instead of doing stupid skits where somebody thinks they are J.R. Ewing, maybe they should have spent the time thinking about how they could actually do something to make the championship and the champion and make some money and grab some interest and grow the brand.
Do you think Bob Evans is available to help consult for the NWA?
Oh, he's available. Yeah.
Come in. He could come in and work a match. He could have a decent program with some guys, and then instead of I don't think it's the talent so much that needs the coaching. I think it's the backstage and the business in general. The business of pro wrestling. There are many people who figured it out. Whether you like GCW or not, or Brett Lauderdale or not, doesn't really matter. But that guy's kind of figured out the business of pro wrestling, and I feel like the NWA. And I'm not trying to throw shade at Billy, because to me, this isn't a conversation about him being good, bad, or whatever. I just feel like he needs to learn more about running the organization as a business as opposed to a passion project. I don't think you're ever going to get the NWA to that next level just being a passion project. I think you need to start making those next steps. Roku's awesome. I think they're great that they're on Roku. But why are they exclusive to Roku? Is Roku paying for production? If that's the case, then I'll shut up right then and there. But if Roku isn't paying for the production, why aren't they putting these whole shows on YouTube? Why aren't they putting these whole shows on Meta? Why aren't they putting the shows back on X? And I don't want to hear like, oh, well, Roku makes it special. Forget special. You need eyeballs. Eyeballs is the currency that the NWA is trading in right now. People watching the program is what's going to help them grow. And if only a select audience can watch it on Roku, or a select audience can watch on X or on the CW app, none of that is going to grow the business. But eyeballs will, because when you bring the show like they have done in the last few years to Philly, to New York, to Dothan, to Chalmette, to wherever they go next, they need to have eyeballs there. They need to have people interested in the product.
Where's Alex Misery when we need his eyeball?
It's an older eyeball, but it's still an eyeball nonetheless.
But you are correct. Right now, it's, again, I don't know the particulars, what their agreement is with Roku, but I know for a fact if Dog had ever had television, it might get first run on whatever it's on, but it's going to be everywhere. And I just thought of something for Bob Evans. Imagine Bob Evans coming out with Jack Vaughn and his partner, and maybe our good our good friend Jeremiah Plunkett, and being their Eddie Gilbert style wrestler / manager.
Oh man, you see, like that makes too much sense. That makes too much sense. That'd be fun. I think that'd be absolutely fun. But I don't
Old
think
school Enterprise, since the Old School Empire is kind of taken it, or was taken.
Yeah. Matt says would be great if they booked Hammerstone for a TV taping. Yeah, I mean, so far they've only used him for the signature live events, and it's interesting. And again, I'm who's the boss? I don't know. Who's making these calls? I don't know. But they did bring the Good Brothers in for a pay-per-view. Then they brought them in for a TV taping, and now they're going to be at the Crockett Cup. I think that's smart. I think that's very, very smart. Now, of course, Atlanta to Tampa is a lot shorter flight than say, Arizona or Nevada. But all that being said, talent, you need good talent. And when you have the access to good talent, you want to showcase them. Like the NWA has a very solid roster, but that doesn't mean that they can't benefit from a tag team that's world renowned, that has former title residencies with TNA or WWE or New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, look, the Good Brothers are a solid team. Why wouldn't you showcase them?
Real quick though.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is a major metropolitan market when it comes to travel and travel hub. I think even though it's the fourth market, I think it's third only to Los Angeles and New York when it comes to actual in and out of traffic. It costs more to have Tennessee fly to Philadelphia, significantly more than it does from Las Vegas. And I assume that's probably the same for Florida, because it's much cheaper to fly somebody from Florida than from Ohio to Philadelphia.
Yeah. And that makes sense too, because all of the international hubs and for me, I live in the Los Angeles market, where LAX is the biggest airport near me, but I have like 4 other options of airports to fly out of: Ontario, Long Beach, Orange County, or Palm Springs. Any of those airports are closer to me than LAX. But if I want the cheapest flight, then it's flying out of LAX.
Yeah, it's just like Molly. She hopped off that plane at LAX with her dream and a cardigan.
I have no idea what that references to. Hey, Matt Underwood, NWA Midwestern Champion. That's his other name. Oh, okay. I get it now. I see what you're saying. He believes that a NWA Midwest champ has recently signed with the WWE. It's possible. I mean, look, it's possible. And that's the place he belongs. He should be on a national televised product. He's a great talent. He is well produced. He's got a great look. He can cut a promo. He can wrestle in the ring. Richard Holiday 100% should be in a major company. Of course, we'd have loved to see him have a bigger impact in the National Wrestling Alliance, but that's okay that he didn't. Onward and upward for him. If he is signed, which I don't know if he is, but if he's signed, it's fantastic news. It's great. If he's not signed, Billy, come on, dude. If you can't sign him, at least use him. Use him while you can. It's funny, like how Matt Cardona, everyone knew Matt Cardona was trying to get back to the WWE, and Billy was very smart in the way that he booked Matt Cardona. Essentially, whenever Matt was available, he'd book him. And every time Matt would come to the NWA, and I'm not a Cardona fan, I want to make that clear, but he did a great job of putting over the NWA, putting over the talent. Billy, where's my title shot? And I never lost the belt. And sure enough, he came in and did the job for Silas Mason, and then went and appeared on SmackDown in the same week.
And JCW.
Yeah. No.
But we won't hold that against them. 6'7".
All right, let's get to Power. All right, we started off on Power, then went on a few tangents. The
Yes.
Devil starts off with TVMA. Of course, they have jettisoned Ms. What was her name again? I don't know.
Valentina Rossi.
You actually knew it, which is kind of surprising. They jettisoned Valentina Rossi. Rumor has it that she might have signed with the World Wrestling Entertainment. And now we have Markova and Shaw taking on Greta and Tiffany Nieves. Now, they've got Miss Smart out there too, and I know she wasn't the greatest wrestler, but I feel like she would have been an okay tag team partner for Tiffany Nieves. I'm not. Yes. What did I call her?
Miss Smart.
Yes, I meant Miss Star. Wow, sorry. Now I'm not entirely sold on Greta as an in-ring talent, but it is what it is. They reference how big she is, 6'6", which again, and especially in this women's division, she does look like a monster when she's standing next to Tiffany Nieves or the Page sisters. She's much, much bigger than them. But then when you put maybe Allison Kay in the ring and she's only, maybe a 6 or 8 inches taller than Allison Kay, or maybe I'm off on that, but she won't look as towering with some talent in that ring, and that'll be interesting when that happens. Hey, Steve G's in the chat. What's up, Steve? So the match starts off where we have Nieves in the ring, and Markova and Shaw are basically taking turns working her over, doing some tandem style of wrestling. Markova misses that connection with the Beautiful Disaster. And while Markova is missing that move, Greta hits her with a massive clothesline from the outside, then gets tagged in where she grabs Markova and then just ragdoll bear hugs her almost to the point of submission. We never saw Markova look like that before, just kind of limp. And we've seen Natalia Markova against Max the Impaler. We've seen her against women like Camille, who are much stronger and more dominant in the ring than her. And this is the first time we've ever seen Markova look this vulnerable in a match. One thing that I noticed during the match, and it bothered me, that the announcers didn't say anything, the referee didn't count, but at one point Greta did a two-handed choke on Markova, like full-on blatant chokehold. Now that's illegal. The referee should have admonished a 5 count and had admonished Greta for doing a cheating maneuver. The announcers normally, when someone's cheating, will be quick to point it out, and nobody said nothing. No one even cared about it. And to me, it's like, that's again the inconsistency with the referees, the inconsistency with the announcers. Like, that was a cheating move. Why didn't anyone call her out on that?
Maybe they didn't want to kink shame her.
All right.
Not the answer you were wanting, but it's still a viable answer.
It is a viable answer, but not the one I was looking for. Then Tiffany tags in and drops a quick elbow on Markova. However, Markova is still able to make a hot tag to Giselle Shaw. Shaw connects with a pump kick to the chest of Tiffany Nieves, and then when Nieves bounces off the ropes, she does this beautiful power slam from Giselle Shaw. The combo was kind of cool, and I'd like to see more stuff like that. Nieves then is able to avoid like a kick to the ground and then turns it into some sort of they had a name for it, but I couldn't hear what the announcers called it, but where she puts her foot on like the jaw of her opponent and then falls down holding the arm. It's like a jawbreaker type maneuver, but I don't even know what they call that.
Painful.
What's that?
Painful. I'll be right back, Jay. I have to do something real quick, so take me out of the chat for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Keep talking about NWA, though, and the power.
Yeah,
you don't have to wait for him. Keep talking.
Yeah, I'll keep going. And then, so as that happens, then Nieves does connect with that maneuver. She doesn't go for the cover. She's playing up to the crowd, and then gives a cheap shot to the champ Markova while Giselle Shaw's on the ring, kind of recovering from the injury. And then Markova enters the ring to try to use fisticuffs against Tiffany Nieves, and Greta steps in right away. And again, choke slams Markova. And for her favor, Giselle Shaw dodges Tiffany Nieves, and I guess her and Greta fight to the outside, where then what did I have here? Connects with what? I need to write a little bit better. But then Nieves connects with a finishing move on Markova to get the 1-2-3. Again, this was a very interesting matchup. As far as Giselle and Markova go, there is some chemistry there. And if the NWA at some point chooses to use them as a tag team, I feel like Giselle Shaw and Markova have a lot of chemistry that would work as a tag team. However, with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling entering its agreement with Ring of Honor, entering its agreement with Ring of Honor and working with CMLL, I doubt we're going to see a lot of Giselle Shaw and the NWA going forward. But if we do, her and Markova make a great tag team. And this matchup was, it was a fun match in that we got to see a lot of Tiffany Nieves, Giselle Shaw, Markova. I still feel like the weak link in this match was Greta. And I do feel like also that there's more and more repetition for Greta is going to be helpful for her. The more she gets more in-ring time and being on television, she'll get more comfortable within her role. But I think right now, I think I would use Miss Star and as the tag team partner and still just keep Greta around as a heater and maybe use her for some dark matches, some enhancement matches. Let her get some reps in. Let her wrestle the local indie girl from FTW or from Texas just to get her reps in, because I don't think she's ready to be in the spotlight just yet. And that's not to say that she can't grow into that position, but she's not there. She's not there right now. And hopefully she gets there, because, again, someone of her height and size, I feel like there's a lot to be interested in. But at this point, I don't feel like she was there just yet. I know that our partner for the night will be back in just a minute, so we'll get his take in a little. Oh, you're here.
Yeah.
What did you watch this match, and what did you think of Greta? What did you think of the teamwork between Markova and Giselle Shaw? What did you think of Tiffany Nieves?
I thought when Nieves was in there, it was a much better match. But I don't think Greta was as bad as she's been. I thought she was okay. She is definitely greener than goose shit. It's funny though, like I said, I think it's what the style they want her to do compared to what she's used to doing might be also the issue. Because I watched her in training matches and she's a lot more mobile. I think they're trying to make her more Andre the Giant. And the problem is they forget that Andre the Giant used to be very, very athletic at one time before the injuries and the size got to him. But I think that's what they wanted to be, as more of a late Andre, or her to be, I'm sorry. And I think that if maybe they let her, if they lighten that rein and let her show more, I think there's more of her to show.
And I think that Greta was trained by the FTW camp. So I think she is trained by Brian Idol and Natalia Markova. And this isn't a shot at them, but Brian Idol certainly works a style of wrestling that, I'm not going to say anything negative about Brian Idol, but I feel like in terms of his wrestling ability, he does a lot of moves that I wouldn't expect somebody his size to do. He does a lot of high flying and high risk style maneuvers, which if I was 6'4", I don't think I would want to take those kind of moves or commit those kind of moves. Doing the dives, the tope con heels over the top rope. I don't think that's something I'd want to do at his height, but that's something that he routinely does. And I don't know if that might have an adverse effect on Greta. She's learning wrestling, perhaps maybe the style that she's learning from Idol and Markova could be different than what, the NWA, like you said, was expecting from her. So there could be that mix up too. Look, she's young and she has potential, and you can't teach size. Somebody smart said that once. But I still feel like until she gets better in the ring, that they should probably use her more in enhancement matches.
Well, yeah, and that's true. And honestly, I'm not a fan of the fact that I don't think Nieva should have been wrestling in a tag match anyway. She should be wrestling singles. She's a singles champion. They took the tag championships off her. Maybe they should focus on her being a singles champion now.
Well, and and again, that's one of the problems with the NWA currently. Now I realize I think Giselle Shaw did. You know what? Giselle Shaw was the one that won the match. I think I said it incorrectly. Giselle Shaw beat Nieves with that knee. Aha! It was a knee. That was what I couldn't read. So yeah, and I feel like Noob said Giselle Shaw and Markova are good as a women's tag team, but that's the thing. Like Markova should be focusing on the Women's World Championship. Tiffany Nieves should be focusing on the television championship. So if you bring in someone like Giselle Shaw, which again, it was only a one-time thing, or for a one set of tapings, I don't think we'll see Giselle Shaw come back. But even if she does come back, I don't want her teaming with Markova, because Markova needs to focus on her title. And the same way Tiffany Nieves, although the tag team was fun with her and Valentina Rossi, I want to see Tiffany Nieves take that TV title seriously. When Kenzie Page was TV champion, you didn't see her doing a lot of tag team wrestling at that time. When she was TV champ, and I think at that point, her sister hadn't come to the company yet. I think it was Roxy and Ella
Envy.
Ella Envy. Yeah, thank you. I think it was Roxy and Ella Envy who were the tag team champions. The TV champion should be focusing on getting her best of 7 so that she could go win the Women's World Championship, or at least get that opportunity. The whole idea of working tag teams doesn't make sense to me. But, I guess it's also means to an end, because Tiffany Nieves and the feud between her and Markova is, I think, going to be an overarching storyline for the NWA going forward. But not if you're taking losses to Giselle Shaw. I don't know what that worked out for.
If they're setting up maybe a future match, then that's actually not bad. But if they're not, then honestly, it's just booking that's not actually helping the cause of any. And again, I wouldn't mind tag matches if they regularly had a 2-hour show every Saturday that was recorded, maybe like a month before, or maybe like a week before, or something like that, where they constantly had fresh matchups and these talents could wrestle a lot and not be wrestle once and then not be seen again for another 6 months.
Yes.
Or at least a month and a half. I think that I wouldn't mind a tag match then, but since they don't wrestle often, especially when it's a signature live event, because they wrestle once usually. At least with the TV taping, they seem to like wrestle. Everybody seems to wrestle twice.
Yeah,
at least that's one thing. But when they do their signature live events, once they wrestle, we don't see them except for promos for months, and I don't like that. Sir, I don't like it.
I don't like it. No, sir.
Go the horse, of course.
Next up, we get Aaron Stevens in the back for the first, or I guess second promo of the night. It's Stevens with the slime balls, and those dudes are weird, and I get it. That's what they're supposed to be, and I get that's what the kids like. But they start doing their Pledge of Allegiance to a red pole, and apparently that wasn't okay for Stevens, because he stops them in the middle of it for to allow Slade to basically say he's going to kick Fenrir's ass. And that was a matchup that I'm excited to see. Slime Balls will be defending their tag titles against the new team of Jack and Eddie. I'm going to say "and" because I don't like the other way of saying it. And then we also get the promo that Tom Latimer is he's pissed at Thrillbilly, not because he lost, but because he feels disrespected. He offered to shake the man's hand. He said, "Tonight you are better than me." He offered his hand to shake, and Silas just waved him off and did not shake his hand. And, this is kind of like how old school storylines are built, right? Oh, you disrespected me, and now we're bitter enemies. What did you think of both promos, Did you watch either promos?
It was on in the background, but I was doing other stuff, so I wasn't really paying attention, honestly. I did like the fact finding out, though, that Slade was going to take on Fenrir. That kind of made me excited.
That was and that was a great match, and we're talking about that up next.
Yes, and please catch. You know what, Alex Misery? Next time you put him in a coffin, lock it.
Yeah, just put a
Throw
big heavy cement block on, or just fill it up with cement. You guys are in Tampa. You're not far from the ocean. Just push it out to sea.
I don't condone polluting the ocean, but still.
That's a good point. So we get the non-title match between Slade and Fenrir. When they first announced the match, I thought it was going to be for the title because, again, Fenrir last week beat Alex Taylor. Not that I'm saying that was the number one contenders match or anything like that, but, Fenrir has been kind of on a tear, again, beating the former champion. And, I've said this for a while. Fenrir has looked good every time he's been on Power. He's got a great look. He's got a great build. His in-ring is there. I'm not sure what he can do promo-wise because we haven't heard him speak a whole lot. But this matchup with Slade, I feel like they were really evenly matched here. And, there's this old expression that is, you can get over or you can go over. And I feel like this is the match where Fenrir got over without going over. And, him and Slade, I think I would like to see them wrestle again down the road. During this match, I found myself not taking as many notes because I was just interested in watching it from a fan's perspective, just enjoying the product and not really trying to be too analytical about it because this is the style of wrestling. My favorite style of wrestling is lucha libre, high flying, high risk, but this is my second favorite style of wrestling, which is very heavy with the strikes, heavy with the mat wrestling, and I feel like this was a really good matchup. Fenrir has just this beautiful drop kick. I don't think anyone on the roster has a better drop kick than Fenrir right now. And then to answer that, Slade has beautiful belly to back suplexes. I think he hit his own version of the Three Amigos. And the back and forth between them was a very fun match. I mean, this might have even been maybe the NWA match of the year so far for me because there's just so much good back and forth between them. And there was a lot of hold for hold style of wrestling. It wasn't Slade just whipping Fenrir's ass the entire time. Fenrir got in a lot of offense. And again, as somebody who is still being established for NWA Power, I felt like that's a big deal for him to have gotten that much offense on Slade. The end of the match was Slade getting his modified figure 4 leg lock. It started off like a leg lock, but then he was able to maneuver his legs around to make it into a figure 4, like a side figure 4 leg lock. I hadn't seen that move up. I don't think I've ever seen it before. So it was a good match for Slade to win. It was a heartbreaking loss for Fenrir, but I feel like he really showed what he can do in the ring. And I think I want to see this match again. Jane, what did you think of it?
I don't think the commentators did a good job of getting Fenrir over, especially in loss.
Yeah.
That is something, again, I sometimes the commentary is good, and then sometimes it's just distracting. I think this was more distracting this time than it was good. It took away from how much I enjoyed the match. I may watch it again just in quiet, in silence, or let the volume turn down because I stopped what I was doing because I'm about to ruin what you used to and watch this match. So I liked it. It's my kind of wrestling. I do like this. It had a little bit of high flying when it made sense, and it had some strikes when it made sense, and it had grappling when it made sense. And I don't know who put together the match, but they did a great job. I look forward to seeing Fenrir doing more. Right now, the only thing that made me mad is it should have been a championship match.
Yeah.
Losing a championship match, to me, is better for your career than losing a non-title match.
And with that being said, too, he did beat Alex Taylor the week before, so him being slotted into that title picture doesn't seem that far off. And right now, it seems like Alex Misery is his storyline right now is with him and Lev and Gags kind of focusing on a rivalry with the Federation of Champions and specifically Aaron Stevens. Which, again, that's fine, too. Rivalries do need to be settled. And it's a good distraction for Misery to be, if you're not going to put him into title matches for that junior heavyweight championship, then then him in a rivalry with Stevens and maybe down the road Lockjaw, I think would make a lot of sense. This takes us to the another set of promos. We get Teal Piper, and I saw this actually on Facebook before I saw it on Roku. I saw the promo on social media first. And every time I see Teal Piper, it's like looking at her dad. And I'm sure a lot of people think she's a beautiful woman. All I see is Rowdy Piper right there. That's all I could see. I don't see anything else. The way her eyes move, her head moves, it's like she is so much her father's daughter that that's all I see with her. And, you know, those are really big shoes to fill because Rowdy Piper, I think, was one of the greatest of all time. And, you know, and Rowdy was such a good promo guy. And of course, you know, Teal is not Rowdy. I mean, she's not the hot rod, but you know, she's doing her best out there. And I'm not trying to typecast her or anything, but I just feel like maybe she would probably do really well in Wow Women of Wrestling.
Wow.
I feel like King Sean Megan said I thought it was Alex Taylor. Alex Taylor does have a promo later, but I think that was later in the show. But Teal Piper, again, she talks about the Rowdy one built the legacy of the NWA, and I mean that's not. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's certainly not right. I mean, there was a lot of people that built the legacy of the NWA, and you know, Rowdy Piper during the height of the popularity of the National Wrestling Alliance in the 80s, that's what people think of like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, Rowdy Piper was doing WrestleMania with Hogan. So
yeah, but he did Starrcade first.
This is true. And the rivalry with Greg the Hammer Valentine. And of course, there was this time in Portland. And I'm not trying to discredit Rowdy at all. Roddy Piper.
Roddy, not Rowdy. Roddy, by the way.
Well, the first couple times I said it, I was saying it because he's Roddy. And then the next few times I just messed up.
Yeah, but don't forget, though, he did wrestle for Continental. He was in that territory for a while. He wrestled for Georgia for a while with Jim Crockett Promotions, Pacific Northwest, NWA California. He's a former NWA Worlds Light Heavyweight Champion, I think.
Yep. Him and Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, they were the big feud over that. Also, the NWA Americas Championship at the time,
which was also NWA Hollywood at the time.
Yeah, and so he has the NWA pedigree. He was an NWA guy beforehand. He was tearing things down with Buddy Rose, and then later with Ric Flair, and then later with Greg Valentine. You know, he was the mouth that never shut up, no matter where he was. But everybody thinks of Rowdy Piper, Mr. Toombs. They think of him in the WWF as part of WrestleMania and the feud with Hogan, and then with Jimmy Snuka, and then later his Hollywood exit when he beat he beat Adrian Adonis for the hair match, and it became that kind of Roddy Piper. So yeah, he did build the NWA. He was part of the bricklayers that helped build that foundation, but he was not the driving force of the NWA.
That's fair. I agree with you on that. Then we're back to Bit Rush, and this is where I start feeling like these become fever dreams. Lev and Misery are behind the counter, and I'm like, wait, are we hanging out with Billy Trask now? Is that what's going on here at Bit Rush? And then Joe Kazana, AJ Kazana, and Casey Kazana come through the door, and now we got the country gentleman talking about Joe Kazana saying that he's got a paper saying that he has the right to buy the NWA, which I don't think that was legitimate. And he's saying that he has the right to be the NWA true owner, and now he's going to be sued by Billy, and he doesn't have money for that. He doesn't got Billy Corgan money, and this whole thing is just weird. And you've got my boy over here, Alex Misery, playing what appears to be like a rock band guitar, while eating a popsicle, and I'm lost, man. I'm not in lost, but I'm feeling lost. I'm not in lost, but I'm feeling lost because this is just like some weird fever dream. Then you got AJ Kazana hauling off and calling the Lost Boys cucks, and Lev corrects him and saying, no, it's cuckold. Like, what the fuck? This is the weirdest shit I think I've seen in a long time in the NWA. And I don't mean that in a good way. I didn't care for this.
Do you ever remember this movie with a drag queen? Priscilla, I think, was the drag queen. And if you ever actually watch it, it's the most insane, just random. It's like, I can't remember what it's like. Priscilla Rules the World or something like that. But it was one of those random things that for some reason I got roped into watching. Somebody told me it was great. And it was just the most insane, like somebody did a lot of drugs to enjoy it and to make it and to everything else. But I don't do drugs. So that's probably why it just wasn't my thing. But it was like if POA's Playhouse was on acid.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it felt like. I've never done acid. I don't plan on doing acid, but it felt like that was happening. And it was very much a fever dream whole thing. And the weird thing about it is, speaking of the country gentleman, and our boy Matt put it up here in the chat, and I forgot to touch on that earlier, but the Kazana brothers, AJ and KC, are going to be part of the Savannah Banana crew going into next year. I don't think they're going to be with the Bananas per se. I think that's Cheddar. I don't remember that guy's name now, but I think they're going to be part of the tailgate experience with the Savannah Banana. So that's cool. And we're big AJ fans here on this live stream, but holy hell, man.
Maybe Joe should not buy the NWA, but should buy into the Savannah Bananas and call them the Kazana Bananas.
Holy shit. Jesus Christ, that's great. That's great. And then speaking of the country gentleman, then we get a promo from Kratos with Odinson, the tag team champions, the Immortals, and Kratos just delivers this like the hitman that I feel like he is. He's just stone cold, and he says, "Hey, we are never the hunted, we are the hunters, and now it's time for you, country gentleman, to get your shot." And I think this was interesting because we didn't have the country gentleman yelling at the Immortals for a tag title shot. In fact, the last time we saw the country gentleman, they lost to the Slime Balls in a U.S. tag title shot. But ever so interestingly booked, the NWA has a way of rewarding failure because now the country gentlemen are getting a shot at the world tag titles after failing to secure the U.S. tag titles. I'm going to enjoy the match, but I just don't understand the booking decision there. And,
that one was dumb.
Because look, if they would have won the match but lost by or won by disqualification because Steven's crew got involved, or maybe they beat up Sage or Tommy too much on the outside and the referee called for the bell, then I could see okay, we get a tag title shot because we're a tough tag team. But this was an instance where they lost the lesser tag title and now they're getting an opportunity for the greater one. And earlier in the chat, when we were speaking, our pal Chris Shoemaker on TikTok mentioned that there is a lack of tag team talent in the NWA currently. And I kind of feel like there's a lack of tag teams in general for the NWA. Now, we see that the Hard Way have kind of become a fixture on the main roster with the Chicago titles. And later in the show, we get introduced to Jack and Eddie. So again, another Chicago-based tag team. And the pairing of Pope and Mims, it kind of feels like maybe they are starting to address that. But I don't know, man. It just feels like things are getting they need to rein it back in a little bit. You had Lev and Alexander Misery as a very decent, mid-card tag team. They should be feuding with the Slime Balls for those U.S. tag titles. And, we had Daisy Kill and Talos. Now Talos is with All Japan Pro Wrestling. Daisy Kill needs to find himself a tag partner unless they're ready to put him into a storyline as a singles wrestler. I just feel like there's opportunity now to restructure some of the talent in the NWA to utilize more tag teams, both in the men and women's division, because again, there's the Hex, and then I guess you technically have Pretty Empowered, and then who else as far as the women's tag team division?
Again, if you really want to go old school, I've been talking about old school wrestling.
Yeah.
The bookend tag teams is more of a modern construct. There were some, but a lot of the tag teams were pairings together, and they were often your tag champions were two wrestlers that weren't currently in the world title picture, so they were in the tag title picture. It was just another way to get two wrestlers over. They weren't necessarily getting them over as tag teams; they were getting them over as wrestlers. They could do that if they even did it right, but nothing they do is right. They don't put talent over to get them over, so then they can get, when they get these shots, they mean something. If, say, the last 3 weeks at television, since they had 2 weeks of television or whatever, if they had the Country Gentlemen got a win over a tag team, I mean, besides Pretty Empowered, that was the last win. Yeah. Then they beat another tag team, and then they beat another tag team, and then they got a shot at the Immortals at the TV taping. That makes sense.
Yeah,
but it's just failing upwards. And then some of these guys, here's the thing: I often feel like they go, "Okay, who's here? All right, we're going to put you versus you, you versus you, you versus you, you versus you. That'll be a fun match, not with no rhyme or reason why they're together."
Yeah, and it's not like there's not guys there that could do that for them. You have the Southern Six that were the U.S. tag champions before. If they take a loss now, it doesn't hurt their reputation as a tag team. They could rebound from that. We saw last week, Wrecking Ball Legursky team up with JAC. Again, that's not going to kill the legacy of Wrecking Ball Legursky if he puts over the Country Gentlemen. It's stuff like that I feel like they could take advantage of, and really, now you have this title match and it means something. Now, maybe they don't feel like they need to do that because these are the Tampa tapings and not a signature live event, but I really wish they would. Just little things to make things more palatable. If Country Gentlemen are going to get a tag title shot, cool. I like them as a tag team, but they shouldn't just be handed anything. They should earn it. And wins and losses should matter in pro wrestling. At least that's my take on it.
Yes, and so should momentum. All right, so what was next?
So then we get the U.S. tag title match between Slime City and Jack and Eddie. Now, the announcers are quick to point out that J and E are both 18, which I'm glad Rob Feinstein isn't in wrestling anymore.
Sage too old for him anyway.
That's Sage and Tommy at one point, not too long ago, were the youngsters in the NWA. So it's kind of interesting to see their maturation now that they're considered veterans on the roster because they're facing guys on the internet. But one thing I did find that surprised me is that they were interviewed back in the day by May. And May's been gone for a long time, but I guess she was there for one of the tapings where Slime Balls existed. So I thought that was kind of interesting how that panned out. Jack Valor and Eddie Grayson are standouts from the Chicago wrestling scene. They took the hard way from the hard way in the vacancy match for the NWA Chicago titles. Of course, the hard way won those belts, and you could see them around the waist of the champions later on the night. But these two youngsters, and again, I feel like they have a ton of potential. But again, I think they're very, very young, and I think they're very, very green. And again, more repetition. And I looked them up. They have. It's not just NWA Chicago, but a lot of the promotions in that area, Chicago style wrestling, and there's several more that I'm not going to list right now. But they have been getting reps in. I just feel like they need more, and they could be something very special for the NWA, especially the fact that they're so young. And, there isn't like a team like the Rock and Roll Express on the roster right now. And like the way I looked at them, I'm like, these guys could potentially become that at some point. They could be very good baby faces if the NWA decides to do that. But they definitely need more reps. The Slime Balls get the win with the Snot Rocket. We did see some innovative tag team offense from both teams, but at the end, Slime Balls stay golden. Probably one of the most successful tag teams in the NWA at this point.
So, yes, besides the champs, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And you know what? The match wasn't horrible. I liked it. It was there. I like the J and E's tag team color combination.
Yeah.
It was, and, they were matching outfits, and it was a unique color combo that did stand out. They were also kind of painfully thin.
Yeah. Again, they're young.
Yeah.
And I could see them growing into. I've heard people say in the past, like you get more of a man's body the more you're in the sport. You start off and you're still thin. You're still becoming a man. And, they both look like they're still younger-ish. And, maybe by year, 19, year 20, they'll have a physique that's more pleasing to the eye for pro wrestling. But, they were a bit skinny. They, again, kind of reminded me of Hunter as well, with that small, like, real light build. Yeah,
and so eventually they fell into their frame. That's it happens. You as you get older, you fill into your frame. So that's what they're going to do. And if being on the road is going to help them out because they're going to eat a lot of bad food. But it's easier to fill into yourself when you're eating chicken nuggets.
Like Dominic.
Dominic eats chicken tendies. There's a difference.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
He also likes to eat a lot. He also likes to eat things from Jersey.
I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. Moving on.
I'm not talking about making a pizza.
You know what I had? I had pizza last night for the first time in a long time. I miss pizza. All right. That brings us to the second promo of the night. We have Pretty Empowered, and they're in the back. And the Pretty Prima Donna, because we will no longer refer to her as Baby Kylie on this show. Is she still upset about her loss in that tag team match? Again, her foot was in the rope, and the referee made a bad call. I agree with Kylie. I agree with Danny Deals. I agree with Kenzie. This was an instance where the referee got it wrong, and they should have reversed that decision. But because she's so fired up and angry, and one thing we know about the Pretty Prima Donna, Kylie Page, is that she is a fighter. And now that she's fired up, she wants to have a submission match against Hera. And so I guess that is scheduled for next week. And then Kenzie ends it with, calling out Teal Piper. And she says, I'm here to kick Teal Piper's ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And I popped for that. I know it's dumb. I know it's stupid. But, one of the most infamous lines that Roddy Piper ever used while in Hollywood. Kenzie used that on his daughter. I thought that was chef's kiss. Perfect. But did you see the promos? Did you hear that line? What did you think?
I didn't. I missed it, and I'm upset because that would have been great because I like that. I popped after you said it. It
was perfect, and her delivery was like, it was a little shaky. Kenzie's a pretty decent promo. She's not the best, but she's good. This was funny. It made me laugh. I literally said, "Oh no!" And she looks at her sister's mouth. You got any gum? You got any gum? Oh, I guess we're all out of gum. Anyways, then we get Trevor in the back, and he's bragging about how he beat the Wall last week. And again, the Wall had a really good debut at the NWA, but the second time we've seen him, or I guess the third time we've seen him, this in the last calendar year, he got handled by Trevor. It was a pretty good victory for Trevor Murdoch. But then he brings up how Pretty Boy Smooth attacked him, all because they gave EC3 advice. Is this really how you want to finish your career in the NWA? That's a joke. But his beef with Pretty Boy Smooth is not a joke. And next week we're going to have a matchup between the former NWA Midwest champion and the former NWA World Tag Team Champion and Trevor Murdoch. I feel like this is
national champion and World Heavyweight Champion. Give him his flowers.
Okay, fair enough. Let's call him a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. He signed the 10 pounds of replica. all of our love for Trevor Murdoch. But yeah,
Former
this was
WWF Tag Team Champion.
the late Lance Cade, who was on this live stream podcast back in the day. Nothing but the respect for Trevor Murdoch, and I feel like a match with him and Pretty Boy Smooth is going to be nothing but great. I'm not necessarily thinking the match is going to be amazing, but the fact that Trevor Murdoch has worked with bigger talent, and being in the ring with Trevor, I feel like is going to be beneficial to Pretty Boy Smooth. And I hope it's not just a one-off. I would like to see them get maybe even a feud, an angle, or something to continue the storyline, because I feel like the more Pretty Boy Smooth gets opportunities against guys like Trevor Murdoch, or when Mike Knox gets healthy, or guys who are bigger in stature, he's going to learn from those repetitions. He even said when he was on my podcast that there was no one like him in his wrestling school. There's no one that size. The guy is a legitimate 6'10". There's not many people on the planet that height. And especially in pro wrestling on the independents, forget about it. There's hardly anybody, taller than 6 foot on the indies. So for him to get these opportunities to step in the ring against Trevor Murdoch, I think that's going to be really, really good for him. Did you watch the promo? Probably not. But what do you think about a Trevor Murdoch versus Pretty Boy Smooth match?
I like the idea. Again, it's a perfect idea. If you're trying to get this guy to become something, he needs to be in the ring with people that are going to teach him steel, sharpen steel. And he's one big sword that needs to be sharpened.
I think that's absolutely accurate. Okay. This leads us to the women's one-on-one match with Teal Piper versus Kenzie Page. Teal emulates her dad, not just in her facial expressions, but just the way she moves in the ring. Some of the moves that she did early on in the match, including she stepped out of the way while Kenzie was running the ropes and then trips Kenzie. I could see Roddy Piper doing that. The eye poke when Kenzie was getting a little hot in the corner. Those moments kind of brought me back to seeing Roddy Piper in the ring, and I can appreciate that. Then the match quickly, Kenzie takes over and is really kind of carrying the match. And I'm not trying to put down Teal Piper, but I know she didn't start till later in life in pro wrestling, and she's still pretty green in the ring, where Kenzie's been doing this at this pace for at least the last 4 or 5 years. And similarly, she grew up in a wrestling family as well, so I can see the comparisons there, but I think Kenzie's so much more advanced in the ring than Teal is at this point. And you could even see Kenzie was calling some things in the match, so she was the one directing traffic for sure. One thing that I kind of dug, and I don't know if you saw this, if you noticed it, Jaden, but they did the callback to Brett and Piper for the Intercontinental title, and I don't remember which SummerSlam it was, but Piper, famous for his sleeper hold, Teal has Kenzie in that sleeper hold, and then Kenzie goes to the turnbuckle and then flips over and gets a near fall. I think Brett won his Intercontinental title with that maneuver, but I think Kenzie only got a 2 count, and it just made me feel good because they did callbacks to the wrestling from my youth, and I liked it.
I think it was a WrestleMania match.
Was it WrestleMania?
I believe so, yeah. And that was one of the very few times Piper lost clean in the WWF.
And it was they did get the 2 count, but not the pinfall. Then there was a little bit of a chaotic moment there, but Kenzie was able to pull a cutter out of nowhere. That's kind of what she's famous for. She gets the 3 count, and Kenzie Page is victorious over Teal Piper. I thought it was a good moment. I don't know if we're going to see Teal Piper back in the NWA. There was some comments made on social media that seems like maybe there was a falling out shortly after these tapings between Piper, her husband, and the NWA. So we may not see Teal Piper back in the NWA, but I felt like this was a good victory for Kenzie, another feather in the cap if she's going to start making that run back in the singles. What did you think of the match?
I was watching it off and on. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. It was kind of, again, multitasking. But what I saw looked fine. I like Piper's gear.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenzie, she just needs to take that stupid nose ring out.
It's not gonna happen, brother.
I honestly, Teal should have grabbed it. That's totally a Piper thing that would have done. But yeah, it was good. I liked it for what a little bit I saw, or not. I'd say I saw about 50% of it. I liked what I saw.
Matt Underwood just brought up something really something I noticed during the match, and I didn't think about it. I'm the whole time I'm thinking Kenzie's a heel here. Why is she asking for the chance to cheer her when she's, you know, in the comeback part of the match? And he even points out that his friend pointed out on Discord that Kenzie was telling the crowd to shut up over and over again. And it wasn't just one time, but multiple times she was screaming at the audience, shut up. And it was very like a heel move, of course. But then she was trying to get them to cheer her on to come back later in the match. And Matt says, which is weird, just churned her face. I'm not going to say it churned her face, but that was a baby face move when she was clearly the heel for the entire match. That's funny.
It could have been done as a heel if the fans would have reacted right. You know, when she says start clapping and then they boo her and scream and everything, she gets mad again at that. But again, the crowd just wants to play along. It's not I don't think it's a real wrestling crowd. I know there's a lot of students of Brian Idol there. And I think you can tell sometimes because the way they act, the crowd doesn't feel natural.
Uh-oh.
Did you freeze, Jay?
I'm frozen.
Uh-oh.
You're
frozen.
My system kind of shut down, so let me see if it jumps back up here in a second. It's
you're moving now.
If it drops out. Huh?
You froze again. Now you're moving really slow.
My computer is not moving at all. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Keep talking.
Anyway, so that was that. And then that was an okay match. And then after that was something. What was after that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Then after that we have the Aaron Stevens promo where he is excuse me, it was not an Aaron Stevens promo, it was the package Aaron Stevens promo with him and Alex Misery, and it feels like that's what they're building towards. And of course Alex was just in here earlier this evening telling us that Stevens can catch these hands. I think that's what they're going to build to. I think that's what we're going to see is an Aaron Stevens versus Alex Taylor. And before I say I think we're going to see that, that's exactly what they announced for next week when Alex Misery had his promo with the Lost. And basically it's I don't think it's anything new that we haven't heard yet, but basically that the score hasn't been settled yet, and Stevens and Misery are headed to a showdown one-on-one. So I think that's going to be a fun match.
Good resume match for Alex Misery, by the way. He could work a former WWE superstar and somebody with some name value.
Yeah, and if we're being completely honest about things, I feel like this is a match that could help put a spotlight on Misery.
Yes.
If he gets a victory over Aaron Stevens, that's going to help solidify him as a bigger star.
Mm-hmm.
And and the thing about it is Stevens has nothing to lose. Stevens isn't a regular wrestler in the ring. He is, he has had some matches, and but on Power he's been mostly used as a manager. So for him to get in the ring and have a legitimate match against, Alex Misery, it's a no-brainer. If Misery goes over, it's all positive. If Stevens goes over, I feel like you're just burying Misery, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, which probably means that's what will happen. But thank you.
Yeah, that's. Are we still on? My screen keeps freezing. So could you see me?
I still see you. You're moving.
Okay.
So I think we still seem to be on. Ask the audience.
If you're watching currently right now, could you just say, "Hey, you're on live right now"? That would be great because I just don't know if you guys are seeing this or not.
Or post a bunch of eyeballs, whatever happens first.
An eyeball would be great. I love eyeballs. I'm going to keep talking like we're on, even though
we're
not getting any reaction from the chat. So Thanks, chat. Next, so immediately after that, we get the Colby Carino segment. Colby looking a lot better than the last time we saw him. He comes out to the ring with his very interesting theme music. You know, the same theme music he uses, somebody in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood uses, and it makes me laugh now that I hear both talents using it. He comes out to the ring, and we hear that, Kyle Davis is trying to get him into, like, when are we coming back? When are you going to be in the ring again? And before he could even answer, we get the hard way and Carson Drake interrupting. You know, Carson Drake has been calling out Colby Carino long before he got hurt. I've got a red light. What does that
Still
mean?
on.
Okay. If we got the red light, I think that's a good thing. Cool. I mean, it says we're on, but like my computer keeps freezing, so I don't know if you guys are seeing this or not. But if Jaden can hear me and Matt says we've got a red light, then I think we're good. So Colby comes out, gets interrupted by the hard way and Carson Drake, and Carson said Colby was smart to leave the ring because otherwise I'd rather have the hard way drop him on his neck the hard way, which was kind of funny. Then they brings up that he is coming after the Hillbilly World Heavyweight Champion. The disrespect here. How hard is it to put a T in front of the man's name? The Thrillbilly, not the Hillbilly. But nonetheless, I think Carson Drake planning to make his intentions clear that he's going after Silas Mason. Of course, I feel like if we get Carson Drake in the title picture, I don't want them to just give him that match either. I want him to earn it. And so far, in 2026, he's done absolutely zero to earn a world heavyweight title match. So again, get him some victories, have him beat somebody of importance, have him pin Wrecking Ball Legursky, have him pin Mims, have him beat El Dragon Nihan. Whatever it is, I want to see him earn a title shot, not just handed one. Did you watch this or no? Did you miss it?
It was on in the background. I was somewhat paying attention to it. I saw Colby, and he's looking pretty healthy.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Carson Drake, I really stopped paying attention.
Doesn't even know what beta alanine is.
Nope.
Huntington Beach education. I don't think so. Then we get another Bit Crush segment in the back. We've got Daisy Kill. He makes his return to the Bit Crush studio or gaming place or whatever you want to call it, and he's pissed off at poor little Billy Trask for suggesting the idea of an open challenge because Kerry Morton ruined it. And then before he could do anything, before he could say anything, you've got the national champion Mike Mondo coming in and basically bullying Daisy Kill out of the building. And this is, again, we talked about fever dreams, and I hope Alex Misery is still in the chat, because all of a sudden we've got Mondo apologizing to Billy and saying that he likes freaks now because Billy helped him win the title, evidently. No, the Pope helped you win it, but I digress. Then the Lost show up. Now you've got Lev and Alex, again, with Mondo, talking about liking freaks, and then Daisy Kill comes back with a popsicle, and he offers Alex Misery a bite. I don't know what is going on. And again, am I on acid? I feel like I'm on acid. I don't know what's happening here. And I'm assuming you didn't watch this, so you probably saved yourself some brain rot, but
yeah.
Jesus Christ, what are we doing, guys? And I like Alex Misery. I like Lev. I want to see them wrestle. The promos are good, but I don't need them in a video game store hanging out eating popsicles. Especially after AJ called them cucks, man. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, this ruins video game stores for me. I haven't even watched any of the YouTube videos of the I can't remember the arcade, the video game store that's really funny. And the one girl, Team Amanda, by the way, she's a big wrestling fan. But I haven't even watched them because of this video game segment. It's so dumb it annoys me now. But I think of this when I see it.
So Matt says maybe that this was right out of Pulp Fiction. Mondo was Butch, Daisy and the Lost, the Gimp in the Basement. Maybe, but what a weird inspiration to use for pro wrestling. And look, I talked to somebody with a lot of integrity and a lot of respect for the business, Bob Evans, and he pointed out, like, look, the people who are getting into wrestling today are using lots of different references for pro wrestling. Some of them are movies, some of them are entertainment, like anime or comic books, and I have no problem with any of that. But what a weird movie to choose with that scene was just, again, I don't want Quentin Tarantino directing my wrestling matches or promos. Thank you very much.
Does Billy think
That
he's
brings us
Quentin
to the main event.
Tarantino?
What's that now?
Does Billy think he's Quentin Tarantino? I could see that.
Probably. Oh, it's avant-garde. You just got to do it for the sake of the art. No, Billy, just do wrestling right.
You know what? Art. I think Art should slap the shit out of Billy.
Who should?
Art.
Shit. This is the main event. We got Wrecking Ball Legursky and El Dragon Nihon versus Pope and Mims. Now, the only explanation why we have El Dragon Nihon teaming with Wrecking Ball is because El Dragon Nihon has heat with Mims. And I don't know why Wrecking Ball got dragged into this, but evidently he's in there too. And it's kind of funny. He starts chanting USA, and you're like, your tag team partner from Puerto Rico. Now, that's still part of the USA. I understand that and recognize that.
Yes.
But many in the audience, I don't think understood that. And then you've got Pope and Mims, who are both from the USA as well. So, like, why are they taking offense to Wrecking Ball Legursky chanting USA? This is just a weird, again, if you're going to have a guy who's pro-USA in a match, maybe, if he's going to chant USA, put him against someone who's not from the USA.
Well, Duggan got away with it. Real quick.
Sure, and go ahead.
I got a tag team name for El Nihon Dragon and Wrecking Ball Legursky.
Let's hear it.
The Dragon Balls. I'm sorry, the Dragon Balls.
El Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
You like dragons? Dragon these, never mind.
Dragon these nuts.
There's videos I'm watching on Facebook lately where it's like, it looks like it's a romantic thing or a relationship thing in the video, and I don't want you to hurt me. Well, I don't want to be hurt either. And it goes back and forth. And then the guy will say something similar to that, and it makes me laugh every time I watch it. All right. Mims starts the match off trying to match power with Legursky, and that is a very unsuccessful venture. You don't want to try to match power with Legursky because not only is he a big dude, but he's also a strong dude, and there's probably nobody like Wrecking Ball Legursky in the NWA currently. I don't think, even as big, strong as Mims is, Legursky's like, easily 450 pounds, right? 350 pounds? How big is Legursky?
He's what we call in the industry big.
Fair enough. When I look at Legursky, and this is, again, not an insult, but that guy's legs is like bigger than my whole body.
Cool. That's because you've been working out and kicking ass.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for saying that. Pope and Mims have success against Legursky only when they attack the legs. And this is like the traditional, like, big man match, big man spot. You got to go after those legs. Don't waste your time headbutting the dude. Don't waste your time trying to punch him in the chest or punch him in the face. He's a big, strong guy as well. Take out those legs. Without the legs, you can't kick, you can't walk, you can't run. Then Pope gets the hot tag in, and he hits like a missile drop kick on Legursky, and that knocks Legursky down the first time Legursky leaves his feet in the match. And that, it was a very clean missile drop kick. Now I know Pope is getting older in age, and we probably won't see Pope do a lot of that kind of wrestling going forward, but just to see him take that opportunity, that move against Legursky, knowing like, hey, I can't knock this guy down with my fist. I can't knock him down with my, I can't clothesline him down. I'm going to have to use my entire body to put this man off his feet. It was good storytelling from an in-match presence. And then there was a point where he has Legursky down, and he's just unloading with the stiffest cross faces you've seen since somebody named Chris was doing them. To me, this felt like an actual fight, more like an actual wrestling match that, more collegiate style of wrestling. I know it's not, but with the way the cross faces on the face, it just felt very real, and I enjoyed that about it. Of course, Legursky's able to overpower the Pope, gets the hot tag into El Nihon, who is laying haymakers and headbutts. That's all I wrote, haymakers and headbutts.
Hey.
Hey, and then at one point, he is about to powerbomb Mims. Popes goes to get into the ring, and you see Wrecking Ball Legursky running it just like a grizzly bear, and the Popes takes off, which I thought was hilarious because that's your boy. You've been telling us how you're back and you guys are like this, and you're going to make this great tag team, and then you just take off and let your boy eat that power bomb, and Nihon gets the 3 count for the win. More questions than answers, but that was power. And what did you think of the match, Jaden? What did you think of the pairing of Legursky and Nihon? Do you want to see them team again? What did you think of the pairing between the Pope and Mims? And do you think they have any real shot at the Crockett Cup?
They'll probably win now.
Seems like it.
Yeah, based on Billy's booking. It was definitely an interesting combination with Nihon and Wrecking Ball. The Dragon Balls, El Dragon Balls, is going to be a force to reckon with, I guess. And maybe the Crockett Cup. I like him better than I did JAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's actually, I thought everybody looked decent in this match. Nobody looked bad.
It's probably the best Nihon's looked in a ring, actually.
Yeah.
For the NWA. I mean, he had a decent match with Tom when he was still champion, but I feel like this tag match he looked way better than his one-on-one match with the Mims.
And that's because the motion and movement that Pope can cause, along with the actual locomotion that Wrecking Ball caused, I think was able to hide the slower offense that Dragon Nihon does. It creates an illusion that more is happening. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm here. And I agree with you. And not only that, but just I think it also made Nihon slow down. Wrecking Ball Legursky knows how to work as a big man. Again, maybe another opponent for Pretty Boy Smooth down the road. But being able to slow down a match, and this is a lot what Bob Evans was saying earlier this evening, is like wrestling is so fast now. And sometimes you just need to slow it down. Let the moves that you hit have impact, and let the audience digest what's happening in the ring. And I do feel like this match did slow down Nihon a bit to make it a little bit. Maybe that's what he was missing with his matches with Mims. But what did you think about the pairing of Legursky and Nihon? Do you think that they have a future as a tag team going forward?
As much as anybody in the NWA, honestly, it's
fair.
At least until Billy breaks them up.
Well, and that might actually be an interesting match too. Nihon and Legursky, I two big guys.
And next time they're on the card, they'll have feud against each other.
Yeah. Going back to Legursky and him, being the pro U.S. wrestler, he said, "Hey, just put him in against Vladimir Koloff in any promotion."
Was that Matthew? Yeah, already knew.
and I think the Koloff dynasty. I mean, I know that they only had that one appearance for the Circle Square. When you got this super patriotic pro wrestler in Legursky, I mean, I feel like that writes itself. But what do I know? So that was power, and I'm not going to say it was a terrible power. My same complaints about every episode is the same. Like I don't like the bit rush segments. I don't like the vignettes are fine, but I'm happier to see promos, especially when they're in-ring promos. I think that's better serves not just the audience who are watching at the live event, but the audience watching at home. I have no desire to see Mondo and Daisy and Billy Trask and the boys from Lost recreating scenes from Pulp Fiction. That just doesn't appeal to me at all. Let me see promos. Let me have guys get over. Let me see somebody get beat up in the back. That's one thing that they did last week I really liked was TVMA attacking Markova and Giselle Shaw during their promo. because we got some violence and it told a story. I don't need a video game to tell a story. If that's the tool that we're using to put talent over, you're failing miserably.
Yes. True.
So that's kind of it for Power, but like I know there's some other things we were going to talk about specifically when it comes to the most outstanding wrestling promotion in South Jersey and slowly but surely all of the East Coast, and that's talking about Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, who have an event. It's a private event, but the great thing about Dog is that these matches do find their way up on YouTube. I've watched many of the WrestleManias via YouTube because I'm not a student at Rowan and I don't have a special access to watch these events, but I do watch them when they jump up on YouTube. And, Jaden, I'm going to let you take over now. Tell us about this special event that's coming up on March 6th.
Well, next Friday, 1 week from tomorrow, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators returns to the hallowed grounds of Rowan University at the Chamberlain Student Center, the Arctic frozen fields of the Chamberlain Student Center, to have WrestleMania. You're going to see the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Championship on the line as Vinny the Fixer defends against the Rowan After Hours Heritage Cup tournament winner Adrian Soriano. You're going to see the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship on the line as Valerie Verman takes on the amazingly awesome Spanish Spitfire, Gabby Ortiz. You might have saw her on the Monster Factory. You might have saw her on the Monster Factory documentary. She's been all over. Gabby Ortiz versus Valerie Verman for the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship. You're going to see Dylan Mesh take on Ethan Promise. They wrestled each other in the Rowan After Hours Heritage Cup, and thanks to some interference, Dylan came out on top. Now it's one-on-one. Rowan's own Ethan Promise will be going against Dylan Mesh in a rematch. You'll also see former WWE and Ring of Honor superstar Tank Tolan. You're going to see Ring of Honor superstar Cheeseburger. Yes?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I don't know if this is supposed to be public knowledge. But during my interview with Brutal Bob Evans, I said, well, hey, man, like, what are you going to be doing when you're at Rowan University? And he had some things to say about Tank Tolan. We've had Tank Tolan on the show and have nothing but the utmost respect for him. And Bob Evans said the same thing, that he respects him, but he wants to have a tag team match with Tank Tolan. He wants Tank Tolan to bring up one of his proteges to team with him to take on Brutal Bob and one of his proteges. And I don't know if they got this cleared by Dr. Lawrence Zirconium. I don't know if this is the first time you're hearing of this, Jaden, but it sounds like that's the match he wants.
That sounds like an interesting match. I'll have to talk to Dr. Z. Maybe he could do something about that. Whoever's in that match is going to learn a whole lot.
For sure. For sure.
You know, they got two people, whether it's in the ring or on there as a partner, they're going to learn. And I'm now curious on what that match is going to be like. I think it'll be really fun. Again, there's breaking news. That's what happens when you get a interview with a big time star like Brutal Bob Evans. But yeah, Brutal Bob Evans, who knows? All right, well, let's say maybe it'll happen. Brutal Bob Evans and a partner versus Tank Tolan and a partner. I'm putting that out there now in the universe. Dr. Zirconium, make it happen. I like that idea. I think you should make it happen. And you're also going to, yeah, that's going to manifest. So let's manifest that. And also, you're going to see NWA superstar AJ Kazana is going to be in action. You're also going to have the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Champions Primal Fear. Going to have a whole entire night of great wrestling action. And luckily, there's going to be nobody there that's not any way good or horrible.
You only have talent to cheer for this time.
Yes, only really high quality, talented wrestlers are going to be a part of this event. But that's not all we have. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, or I guess the tip of the spear, because it's the first of the 2026 domination by Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. There's a lot going on we aren't announcing, but I will tell you what we did announce. I mean, right afterwards, a week later, we're going to be at the Nerd Force Fan Fest with a table, and you're going to have a meet and greet with the wrestlers at Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And then after that, we're going to be at the South Jersey Geek Fest and in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. You're going to have Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators action, and we're going to have a table there too. And at our table is legendary WWF, WCW, AWA, NWA ring announcer Gary Michael Capetta. And I have it on good authority that after this coming up with Rowan, that we're going to see about getting Gary Michael Capetta to be on this very podcast to hype that event up.
That'd be great.
And then after that, do you have the graphic?
I'm ready when you are, sir.
On May 2nd, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators is going to process this awesome graphic, because we're going to return to Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey, but we're making our debut at the Pinelands Regional High School for Big Trouble in Little Egg Harbor. Already announced is Pineland Regional High School alumni and somebody who's from Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey originally, Ty Thomas, will be in action. Former WWE superstar, Ring of Honor superstar Tank Tolan will be in action. The Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship will be on the line. So will the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Championships. So you're going to see a lot of great professional wrestling action and more to be announced. Big Trouble in Little Egg Harbor, Saturday, May 2nd at the Pinelands Regional High School. Tickets will be available once I figure out how to get the online ticket thing to work.
You will buy the seat, but you only need the edge. And the video package, is this the same video package or is this a new video package?
I didn't mean to put that on there. I was trying to get that to load up, and when that popped up.
Got it. Okay, so that's really great news. And again, shout out to Jaden and Dr. Lawrence Draconium, the folks over there at Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Not only are they putting on high caliber events, the most professional events, but we're also grateful that they've helped us acquire guests like in the past, Ray Jazz. We've talked to Tank Tolan, and today we did speak to Bob Evans. So that was very, very cool. So please send my gratitude to Dr. Z when you speak to him next. And I believe we're going to be having Cheeseburger on, I think, this Tuesday, or maybe Thursday. I'm not entirely sure. My memory's not.
I think it's next Thursday. I think you're going to have Cheeseburger, and not a cheeseburger from Smash Bros, which was unfortunately the time you got one, it wasn't nearly as good as they usually are.
It was good to me, man. I didn't complain about that burger. It was a very fine burger, Jaden. Wasn't the best burger I ever had, but it was very good, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was only about 60% of how good it really was, and that's why, unfortunately, if you ever go to Smash Bros, make sure the sons are working, because if the mom works, they don't come. It's not quite as good.
That's fair. So I think that's going to do it for us this week. Again, if you missed the podcast with Bob Evans, you can check that out now. It's on YouTube, and it should be up on all of our podcasting platforms later this evening, and that's iHeartMusic, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. Make sure you check that out, and of course the pre-party will be back again next Tuesday, as we'll be discussing the upcoming matches for this week's Power and so very much more. Also on March the 6th is the big event in Rowan University with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. March 8th, that Sunday, I'll be down in Long Beach, California, Thunder Studios, live from the Sunday Night Slam TV tapings that they are. I don't think it's maybe not a taping, it's a live event, and it will be available on many, many platforms. I will be talking to Dave Marquez that day, and of course, we'll try to put that up as soon as possible as well. But a lot of great content coming at you from the Alliance blog, a lot of great wrestling coming at you from Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to both channels. And if you haven't done so already, you could subscribe to Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators on YouTube. The link is right on the channel. If you go to the Alliance Blog YouTube channel, it's right there. They're part of our known conspirators. So I like that title so much. Anyways, that's going to do it for us, guys. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this Thursday. And until next time, DKM will be back, but Jaden and I will see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at